Now, Mozambique appears to be benefiting from South Africa's collapsing port and rail infrastructure. Volumes significantly increased at Maputo Port over the past years as many divert their goods there to bypass the backlogs that are being experienced locally. Econometrix Director and Chief Economist Dr Azar Jammine joins us to discuss the impact of this on the economy. Dr Jammine, good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. Is there a real correlation between the backlogs that we're seeing, for example, at the Durban port, and the rise in handling fees that are being taken in by the Maputo port at this time?
Without a doubt, there is a direct correlation. I think the Mozambican government is trying to exploit the windfall that is being provided to it by the deteriorating situation with regard to our ports in Durban and Richards Bay. There have been reports of thousands of these trucks carrying coal going to the Rosano Garcia border post in Maputo. Clearly, they're exporting the coal through Maputo, and the Mozambican government is deriving the benefit and is in a position to raise its fees for actually putting the coal onto the boats and sending them off. So they are benefiting where we are losing.
Yeah. Looking at that kind of benefit, are they able to sustain that benefit for a longer period? Are they able to tackle this increase efficiently? Is this viable for them going forward?
I think it's becoming increasingly viable. I think not only Maputo, but some of the other southern African ports outside of South Africa have been gearing up to their facilities precisely in order to take advantage of the malaise that South African logistics situation is actually in. Yeah. And I think that this can be sustained for quite a lot longer than we believe. They are upgrading ports all around the continent to facilitate increased passage of trade, and it's unfortunate because South Africa is then going to have to fight to get its role back again if and when it ever gets its ports back in order. It's a classic example of the manner in which South Africa's role as leader of the African continent economically is just declining all the time.
So they're already implementing their plans for the future. We are still hoping to fix what is broken here in the country with the hope that those shipping companies will want to return back to us once we have solved our problems. Is that a realistic expectation?
That is a realistic expectation. You've also got to bear in mind that Maputo is closer to Gauteng than Durban. So even from that point of view, it's in the case of Maputo specifically, logistically, it makes a lot of sense to try and trade through them rather than through Durban. And there is less government interference in the way of actually improving the facilities in Maputo than there is in South Africa. In Maputo, they're quite happy to get outside parties to come and do the work to upgrade their facilities. In South Africa, there's a distinct ideological reluctance on the part of government to get the private sector bodies involved. There was an agreement many months ago to get a Filipino consortium to start improving our port facilities. That agreement has still not been signed by the South African government. There is a huge backlash from trade unions who don't want to hear the word private sector at all.
They are increasingly, of course, improving their infrastructure because of this windfall that they are getting. On the other hand, what is the situation with South Africa? Because if we are losing this particular important revenue, we might also find ourselves in a situation where, because of the fiscal constraint, we do not have money to actually fix our infrastructure.
That is precisely the irony of the current situation, and why some economists like ourselves actually predict that ultimately the ideologists will have to give way and give ground to practicalities and allow the private sector to start assisting them. The situation cannot carry on indefinitely. The same applies to Eskom, by the way. We are seeing private sector increasingly taking over the electricity demand by installing solar panels left, right and center, and Eskom is losing its power, it's losing its revenue, and through that the municipalities are also starting to lose a lot of critical revenue, and eventually the government will be bankrupt if it doesn't actually bow down and allow the capability that exists for the private sector to actually intervene to improve, to help them improve.
Economist Dr. Azar Jammine, appreciate your time. Thanks for coming through and joining us.